Spider-Man Homecoming is the 16th film within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it is the first Spider-Man film within the MCU. And it is the third Spider-Man reboot that we have gotten within this past decade, which is really, really crazy, because Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out in 2014, and now we're in 2017, another Spider-Man reboot, so that's just... wow. Well, let's get into it. So the plot of this movie, it follows Peter Parker / Spider-Man as he's juggling his life in high school while trying to juggle his life as a superhero known as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and he's trying to prove to Tony Stark / Iron Man that he wants to be an Avenger. Now, if you've been following my series of Spider-Man reviews, you know that I love the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire. Spider-Man 3, it was fine. The Amazing Spider-Man films, I don't have no problems with those films, but at the same time, those are not the best films in the world. And then Tom Holland got introduced as Spider-Man in Captain America Civil War, which came out last year, and I instantly fell in love with him because he embodied both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And so I was nothing but happy to see what they would do with him in the rest of the MCU, and especially within his first film, Homecoming. And I can honestly say Spider-Man Homecoming is absolutely the best Spider-Man film since Spider-Man 2. And the reason this film works is because again, Peter Parker, he is a teenager in this film, so that the possibilities are endless for him, and he's in high school, and they pretty much play this like it's a John Hughes film set in high school. And that credit goes to Tom Holland, because he definitely feels like a kid. He feels like a teenager in high school. And you believe him as this kid who is in high school and he's getting ready for homecoming and trying to juggle his life on the decathlon, but at the same time, he is a superhero with these spider-like abilities. Tom Holland, he embodied everything that I love about Spider-Man. Just the fact of him being a kid and trying to be a superhero and just trying to do the right thing. And this is probably the funniest of the Spider-Man films that we have gotten in years. As for the other characters in the film, like his best friend Ned, he is great in this film. What I love about the teenage cast in this film is that they actually feel like teenagers. And then, in spoiler alert, it was in the trailers, but when Ned finds out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, he has the reaction that any of us would have, whether we're a teenager or adult. Just to know that your best friend is Spider-Man, we would all go apeshit over that. Zendaya plays Michelle in this film, and she was funny and good in the film for what she was given in this film. I'm just saying they took a turn with her that just wasn't really a big fan of. But other than that, I can't wait to see what they do with her character in the film, or if they even go anywhere with her character in the film. So she was fine in the film. The villain of this movie is the Vulture, who's played by Michael Keaton, which I was skeptical because Marvel doesn't have the best track record when it comes to their villains. But let's also remember that this film also is in production with Sony and Marvel. So in Spider-Man, outside of Batman, has the best rogues gallery. So they gotta do the Spider-Man village justice, and I feel like they definitely did the Vulture justice in this film. And Michael Keaton, he definitely brought it in. He's probably the best villain since Loki in the Avengers and the Thor movies. And you actually understand why the Vulture is doing the things that he's doing, and you actually buy him as a villain. Especially if you got Michael Keaton, you better utilize him and better use him to your advantage and to the best. Robert Downey Jr. / Iron Man Tony Stark is in this film, and everyone was a bit skeptical because, he was in a bunch of the marketing material for this film, and he was heavily in the trailers in that terrible poster. But I can honestly say, even though it feels like he's in a lot of the marketing, but he is not in the film as much. Trust me, they utilize him just enough to really get the point across. Honestly, Tony Stark, he is in the film, but the Iron Man side of him, he's more of an afterthought of him. He's really only a one action sequence. The best way I can describe it is Tony Stark / Iron Man, he was pretty much a plot device in the film because, he's pretty much the mentor to Peter Parker / Spider-Man in the film. And now I've been talking positively about this film, so here are the negatives. I think, honestly, the only negatives for me personally is it's the fact that the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies are so near and dear to my heart that anything that comes after that is just gonna have a big cloud over my head. And obviously, yes, it's hard to separate your nostalgia from something new. But I am willing to admit that Tom Holland, he is the best Spider-Man since Tobey Maguire. Nothing against Andrew Garfield, he was fine for what he was, but he just wasn't a good Peter Parker. But another negative I will have for this film is the action scenes in this film were good, and especially this one scene when they were in DC, but I felt like there wasn't enough emotional weight to those scenes, and just I feel like the film didn't have a sense of urgency, and it just didn't have enough emotional moments for me to get invested. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the film, I really did, and I really mean when I say this is the best Spider-Man film since Spider-Man 2. But at the same time, I feel like there wasn't enough. I wasn't as emotionally. It didn't hit the emotional chord with me that I was hoping it would, like the Tobey Maguire movies did, and even some of the Amazing Spider-Man movies did. But at the same time, I can understand why it didn't hit any emotional chords, because this is the first movie, and they're probably saving those for more Spider-Man movies to come in the MCU, and maybe even some of the Avengers film or any other film that Spider-Man is going to make an appearance in the MCU. But like I said, I think this is the best Spider-Man film since Spider-Man 2. Tom Holland, he kills it as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. This is a great start for a Spider-Man reboot that I think could stand the test of time and will last long, maybe after 3 movies. Like I said, my only negative about this film is that it just didn't hit enough emotional chords with me that I was hoping it would, but again, I'm willing to hold reservation. I'm going to give Spider-Man Homecoming 4 stars for worth money. Thank you so much for listening, and if you like this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. If you want to see more, check out my channel. The link is in the description below. And be sure to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and Periscope. Peace.